illustrate this concept, we must use a supply and demand graph. Here is where the economy is performing at equilibrium. During a deficit, this changes somehow, and quantity, or GDP, decreases. This space is the deficit, which the definition is right here. The difference between a deficit and a debt is that the deficit is just the difference, while the debt has accumulated over time and created a true issue for the government. It's good to always run a deficit whenever your economy is low, so that then when your economy is doing better, you can run a surplus, and in the end, the deficit will even itself out in the long run. But with a debt, this doesn't work the same. To fix this problem, if it becomes an issue, if the deficit becomes too large, you can use two types of fiscal policies. These two types are automatic and discretionary. Now, the automatic stabilizers are things like government spending and taxation rules that automatically go into play when the government is low or high in its performance. So the two most important ones are going to be taxes, where tax rates change, and transfers, which this includes unemployment benefits. Say if the government is, or if the deficit is running too low, then as that increases, unemployment, as that goes lower, the unemployment benefits are going to increase. Now, the other type of way to fix the debt is discretionary fiscal policy. And this is an actual action that the government decides on and takes, which usually takes a little bit longer. And this includes cutting taxes or increasing government spending. Now remember, these are automatic. They happen automatically, and these people decide on. And both of these go into fixing the debt. Now the goal for the government is to keep low interest rates on their spending, so that then as they increase their government spending, or the public debt increases, that interest rate will not cause the debt to go to a tipping point where the interest rate payments end up being more than the taxes that they're taking in from the people. This, in our economy, isn't occurring right now, and I will show you a pie graph right now of that.
Current spending in the U.S. government budget can be seen here, while this table shows spending relative to revenue in billions of dollars.
Now, that was what happens in our economy now. If it continues as projected, this will happen. Now, the biggest thing to remember with this is that the deficit is the difference, and when the deficit is allowed to continue, a debt increases. The government does not want a debt, because then eventually it has to be paid back. And when the debt becomes too large, they have to decide what they're going to be spending on, because they're either going to have to increase their taxes or decrease their spending. And when their spending decreases, in the long run, the economy feels its effects through the infrastructure and the programs that don't always get funded, such as the Cascade Bridge and other programs that aren't mandatory, like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. They always have to be funded because that's how our government's set up. But the other things start seeing a decline in funding, and that hurts our economy in the long run. So remember, this is self-correcting over time, but That's just the deficit. The debt has to be dealt with in these ways and can be extremely detrimental to the economy, to a country, and to the world economy if this is allowed to continue and increase. Thank you.